Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the podcast. Today we are diving into the mind of Jan Edöcs. Now, Jan is actually the CEO of the luxury watch company Doxa. And in this podcast, we cover everything from the watch industry to passions outside of work, to management styles, and everything that Jan has learned over an extensive career. My name is Harrison Brown, and this is the Into the Mind podcast. If you're watching or listening, I hope this helps. How was it that you got into the watch industry? I was reading that you used to work at Omega. Am I right in saying that?
I started with the Swatch Group. Yeah, so for me, PN is still one of the cradles of the Swiss watchmaking. It's not small, it's more on the production side. If you see our neighbors here, it's just a big crown. We're just in the center. And you have the headquarter of Swatch Group. You have Rolex here. And obviously, PN was also in the history, was all the time... it's also on the border of two languages. It's only the Swiss German or the normal German speaking part, the French part, and it's really in the middle. It's almost 50-50 in the city. Mm-hmm. And people you take out of Bienne, they speak several languages already when they get out of school. Wow. In Geneva, it's more French-oriented. In Zurich, more German. English becomes fast the third language. So you take someone young, 16 years old out of school, 3 languages already done.
Amazing.
And as you started, and here in the production, you see all these logos, and then you see the watch industry represents internationality in the city. So I said, I want to go to work in the watch industry. And of course, I also have family members beforehand who were already active, a lot of family friends who are working in the watch industry. And the same is here, the city by its own has 60,000 people with the surroundings, which became cities 100,000. But the business is so substantially implanted in the city that you can't go out in the evening. Mm-hmm. Just to sit in the restaurant and talk about business. You do not know who is sitting from which brand next to the table. Yeah. So, that is. So for me, it was a dream, and it represented internationality and to learn and to discover the world.
And how did you actually, I speak to quite a few people that are in the watch industry. This is including myself, by the way. And you ask them how they got into the watch industry and they say, I have no idea. I just kind of fell into it. I just ended up here. Is that kind of the same trajectory as you? Did you study for this kind of thing, or did you just fall into it?
I got stamped already. So I have a very close family friend who was the founder of the Swatch watch. So I still keep one prototype before Swatch was released. At that time, I was pretty much young. I started to collect watches when I was young. Not Patek Philippe, it was more Swatch watches as a pleasure, you had vegetable watches and all this. So I felt into love, and here, a lot of people of the industry. So by me, it was not coincidence. Yeah. It was really a plan paired with commercial direction. And as soon as I could get in, I think I was 18, boom, I was the first step was Omega. Exactly.
Yeah. And how did you...
And you learn a lot,
Yeah, I was going to say, so did you learn a lot from Omega that you took to Doxa afterwards?
No, of course. So first of all, it's the respect to the industry. It's a respect to the product. It's a respect. I remember the first 2 months, what they did. I saw myself already in a plane visiting a market. Of course, that was not happening. And the first thing what they did, they sent me 2 months into the museum. And for 2 months, I was cleaning watches.
Wow.
So if you ask me the history of Omega still today, in and out, and you started to get respect to the industry, to the product, to materials, to gold. And then as an honor, after 2 months, I remember I was allowed already to make first tour in the Omega Museum to customers.
Wow.
So you step in and then you grow, you learn. When you go back into 89? Omega, there was also not what Omega is today. Much more references and all this. And you learned a lot when you followed later on with Swatch what the manager who came in, big challenges were around, how they streamlined the brand, how they streamlined the collection, how they build up the markets. And I remember, and if I tell this to my kids, they laugh. I remember when we got the presentation where the first fax was presented, the fax machine. I was still with telex working, no emails. And then remember the first, this is incredible, fax machine. It means with Japan, you can send a document, and if it's signed, it's legally valid. This is my time.
Yeah.
So basics.
Yeah. And
And then, of course, the love to the, yeah.
Yeah. And what did you think of the new Swatch watch that was released quite recently, actually, the new Moon Swatch? What was your views on that?
So listen, I can't judge other brands' direction, philosophy, strategies. I can't do that. I stay neutral. Of course, I'm a lover. I worked for Swatch.
Yeah.
Interesting to see how they move on. You hear two voices, but the product by its own, of course, is very nice.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, well, listen, I think that I love the direction that brands are going, especially through the social media side of things, because Swatch itself is such an accessible brand, so they attract a lot more people within to the industry. So the kind of bubble that the Moon Swatch created got more people into watch collecting in general, which will spill over and then help the likes of Doxa, the likes of other luxury watch brands, and I think that's an absolutely a kind of brilliant thing. When you kind of worked with the Amiga group, what was it that you took across to Doxa in terms of learning? Is there anything that you specifically learned that you took across to Doxa?
Well, of course, it's the skill how to treat the market, different mentalities, different cultures.
Yeah.
That helped. The respect to the product all the time needed, respect to human beings, respect to the staff, self-confidence. There's all the time a solution. Yeah. There's never a situation where there's no solution. Sometimes solution a bit more drastic, but stay focused, stay oriented, and stay balanced. Mm-hmm. And so this more from the management skill, and also creativity is very important. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And also how to mix. Here I jump into Doxa, how to balance a rich heritage a brand has and to bring it to a next generation. It sounds easy. Oh, just put an ad in social media. It's not this. Give you an example for us in 1698, Jacques-Yves Cousteau, all the generations, everyone knows Jacques-Yves Cousteau, mm-hmm. Calypso. He was an explorer of the ocean in the 50s.
Yeah.
He started to take on Doxa in the United States. If you go today to young people and you quote Jacques-Yves Cousteau, they may ask you, is this a new player from Paris Saint-Germain? So for us, it's logical and to be able to speak the language of today's customer and tomorrow's customer, especially knowing also that in the watch industry, a lot of challenges came in, despite economics was not too bad the last years. But for example, with the Apple Watch, 12 million Apple Watches, which is interesting now, what the brands do. I mean, somehow the next generation is used to data, exchange, fast access of information, health, whatever. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Technically, you put an item on the wrist. On the same time, it's an item who's abusing electricity every day.
Yeah.
And it gets abused. After 1 year, next one. The beauty of a mechanical watch, if you treat it well, you can pass it on for generations and it's never getting obsolete.
Yeah.
And it doesn't eat up electricity.
There's something beautiful about the mechanics of a watch as well that's not really... It's an old way of thinking and working that isn't really as prevalent in society nowadays. You mentioned the Apple Watch there. There's this kind of fast food technology, whereas that's not luxury watches. Luxury watches are those sentimental purchases that can be passed down through the generations.
Yeah, look at that. A mechanical watch, of course, today some material has changed. But the general knowledge of the mechanical movement is older than 200 years. It's amazing.
It's incredible. And
and still work, yeah.
Yeah, and what was your kind of when you came into Doxa? I suppose, did you do manager roles before Doxa also when you were working with the different partners? How did you find managing people for the first time?
Oh, listen. I had beforehand. I had already positions as CEO, also of a big group in China. Being the one at the time we opened up the Chinese market for all the high-end brands, the Swiss high-end brands, also Swiss high-end watch brands. With the team, listen, look in the mirror and you can expect from a team what you can stand behind and what you are also willing to do. And if you learn, you need to understand every different level of a team structure, as big as it is as not, but it helps that you can understand their capabilities, their worries, their sorrows. A watchmaker thinks differently as an international or global sales manager.
Yeah.
Being around, a watchmaker needs to stay focused. And just to reunite, I see myself as a coach.
Yeah.
I have open doors. I'm not a big fan of very different hierarchies, or how you say, to keep it as flat as possible. Sometimes I need to give the direction, but I'm also willing to give trust and delegate. And in a good way, sending out trust that the people can move on by their own, and a certain degree can also take their own decision. That's just motivating. If you go into being in a control freak position, it's not pleasant to work with, and it doesn't support creativity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I found that a lot within our own business, within Chisholm Hunter, that I think when I first joined, I was the control freak. I needed to know when everything happened, why it was happening, why it was a specific way. And you end up just burning yourself out. And also the team don't learn because they need to make their own mistakes for a period of time to learn.
Everyone makes mistake, and you just can learn. There's no Mr. or Mrs. Perfect, even not in business. Just make sure that the mistake is not too heavy.
Yeah.
That's the responsibility until where you need people to decide by their own. But of course, only the people who work make mistakes. The people who don't work, they never make mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you said something quite interesting about learning the different cultures from each area of the market. For example, did you say that you were based in China for a while?
No. Also, I was based in Switzerland, but we worked for one big group, being at the stock market in Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. At the time, we opened the Chinese market. That was in the beginning of the year 2000. China was a closed market, not what it is as of today. At the time, we opened also the first Rolex boutique in Hong Kong, monobrand boutique. And totally, we opened up about 300 monobrand boutiques in China at the time.
That is incredible.
So also there, I was home-based here. We also had our own brand within the group. But of course, been many, many times in Hong Kong and China, as also until 7 years ago. Then I was traveling 2 weeks New York, 2 weeks Switzerland, 2 weeks New York, 2 weeks Switzerland, back and forth. So there's some flying miles under my boxes.
Yeah. And what are the kind of differences between the purchasing patterns? There's an interesting thing, especially in China, actually, where they tend to gravitate towards more small watches, quite sort of smaller faces. Do you see kind of like there's differences between each culture in terms of buying patterns, what they'll go sort of gravitate towards?
Oh, yes. Sometimes even huge.
Yeah.
Huge. So first of all, in Asia, by its own or China, look at the wrist sizes.
Yeah.
Look at the size of so only by then, it's more difficult to have a 45 millimeter heavy diver's watch on the wrist of an Asian end consumer. Also, therefore, we launched the 39 millimeter, which is on one side a general trend, but definitely supportive for Asia. Then the full of style, technically you could say sport watches are on demand globally.
Yeah.
Yes and no, but differently. Then there's classic-oriented markets. For me, China, they're still hunting prestigious brands. They're brand followers still for me. Then you have other markets who are very educated, which it's not only about to wear a big brand. People, they create their own status symbolic. They may wear the brand from a big brand, but such as in a certain occasion, they want to stand alone.
Yeah.
When they go in the cigar club, they want to stand out, and they do not want to wear what everyone else is wearing. So, no, definitely big differences from South Europe to Northern Europe, United States, Asia, and within Asia, the Japanese culture is completely different than the Chinese. it's also the conduct of doing business which is changing. We can have much more a direct approach, for example, in the US. Also, Europe is not bad. But in Asia, the conduct is completely different. You need to integrate the opposing party in an evaluation to get a project realized. And this demands sometimes a lot of patience, but which pays out at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's almost like a softer approach in Asia, you think, like a little bit more indirect.
It's softer and it's different. It's never tell what you want in the first 30 seconds. No.
Yeah.
Let them help to come your direction, and at the end, if they decide that the best solution is anyhow what you wanted beforehand, then you're a winner.
Got you.
But let them decide.
Got you. So you need to kind of manipulate it to your degree.
It's not manipulating. It's just asking. In asking the right questions, you may get the answers which you hope so to get.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's how you ask questions.
Absolutely. And how do you feel that? I know that. I mean, I suppose you're talking. In essence, you're talking to one at the moment. But I do a lot of the YouTube and the social media kind of side of things for both Chisholm Hunter and my personal brand and myself. How do you think that the kind of social media side of things and YouTubers have influenced the watch industry nowadays?
Oh, massively. First of all, I remember when we booked, advertising pages in each country and all this. Social media has no borders. So whatever gets out fast. I think consumers, even though the younger one, very fast reacting, very fast changing opinions, on a certain extent can also be much easier influenced. On the other side, I'm telling to my son, he's fully in, he's 19 years old, don't believe everything what is there.
Yeah.
So that's the other side. So be prudent. But of course, the media form, you can connect globally within a split of seconds.
Yeah.
So that's the advantage, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen a huge increase in the amount that Doxa themselves actually are posting within their Instagram page, within their kind of, I think you guys are on TikTok as well now, which is what all the kids are using nowadays. And it seems to be really good content, like really organic content. And I think that's what people or some prestigious brands are missing. They're going down the more quite plain hero shot website look, but people want opinions and people want stuff that's organic and more kind of curated for them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started, so also with Doxa, when you go back in the history, okay, I'm not going back now to the diver watches, we talk maybe later about it in 67, 68, when we came out to the market with the orange dial. But when you see the setup of Doxa, we do something completely anti-cycle and unique compared to the rest of the watch industry. Doxa started to sell online in the year 2001.
Wow.
That did not exist.
Yeah.
2001. And this is a business which you understand. What we do today, or since 4 years, because we had a lot of collectors out of the 67, but 68 was the famous 300T, as I mentioned, Orange Dial, Jacques Cousteau, the Swiss Army. I could go for hours. Mm-hmm. But the collectors group and the fan base was aging. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then we said, okay, now it's time to bring it to a next generation. And the key decision also we all took was then really, okay, we go the opposite way. We come from the online and now we go retail. And Doxa is just available since 4 years. And we built up now an exclusive retail network. As of today, we have 180 point of sales, but we're not going to every corner.
Yeah.
No, we want to keep it exclusive to let the consumer come to Doxa. And the other brands, what you mentioned, they do the opposite. They came from retail, and now they try to go online. So we meet on the bridge, we cross hands, they walk this direction, and me, I'm walking to retail. And this is super interesting. And when you see the value of the retail network we could build in 4 years, thanks to a great team, thanks to confidence of the markets, it's really not bad. So, and you can find Doxa today only in premium locations. Yeah. And that stands out for its own. And And in big pictures, we are still very hungry. We will move on. But again, exclusivity is key for that. I'm not selling to any online third-party platform.
Yeah.
They all came. And I say to everyone in a gentle way, no, thank you, no, thank you, no, thank you. In the last 4 years, I could have pumped in merchandise in a so higher degree. But then within 2-3 years, exclusivity has been gone. Discount would have started, the control. And you need to grow organically. That's the advantage also, that we do not have shareholders behind our back and they just want to see short-term results. It's a family business, and we still want to be here in 50 years and in 100 years.
Yeah.
So we really take care in what we're doing.
Absolutely. And have you seen, I suppose that's quite a difficult thing to police as well. The kind of, I feel that discounting is such a terrible thing because it totally deframes the brand, and it also impacts the retailer because at the end of the day, it's a race to the bottom, because if everyone discounts, everyone's margins go and they're devaluing the product at the same time. Is that been kind of a struggle when you've gone to the retail side of things? Because I suppose when you're just online, you have a little bit more control over that.
Oh, fully. If we only have our own website, so this is 100% controlled. And as I'm not selling to any third-party platform online, so no risk. So this is again then highly appreciated by the retailer, which Doxa stands almost unique or just a very, very high-end brand. Okay, I don't have a competition from that side. Why should I start to discount? Secondly, not to be in every corner in the city, and consumers, they go from one retailer to the other. Oh, this one gave me 5, give me 10, give me 15. So not possible.
Yeah.
In most of the city, at least one. In metropoles of millions, we have 2. So we do a lot to you can't say control, but the business setup at the end finishes again almost on a conduct of logics and the conduct of gentleman's agreement.
Yeah.
So if I'm not going to sell online to a retailer, then please don't discount.
Yeah.
That's it. Legally, I cannot ask, but that's a gentleman's agreement, and it works.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why you need trusted partners, I suppose, as well, that have been there for a while and that pride themselves on building that relationship with the retailers. And I think like the relationship part of this industry, I'm 26 now. I've been in the industry for 10 years, and it's all built on relationships, everything. And you need to have a great working relationship and do the things that you say you're going to do and be highly, highly transparent with everyone.
As I said, never forget also to my kids, they also start to work now in the industry. Never forget, you meet at least twice.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a great lesson to learn. Yeah. And whereabouts are your kids working? Are they working with you at Doxa?
No, my daughters first, they head out now with their own experience. My daughter, for the moment, she works at Swatch Group.
Got you.
So for the moment, she's following the same path as I do, yeah.
Yeah, she'll be learning lots at Swatch Group, I'm sure.
No, and it's also international. It's, in a big group, it's different. If you go to family businesses, in big groups, you're getting used to work with bigger budgets and all this. Not that this is bad. But what I also like, a family business, you turn the coin maybe 2 or 3 more times before you spend it,
Yeah. Yeah. And how have you found that? I mean, going from obviously Doxa is a family business, which is firstly an incredible feat since they've been going since 1889. That's just incredible. But how have you found the kind of the working with a little bit less budget, but trying to stretch that a little bit further?
Well, budgets are budget. It stands in a relation to turnover. Just spend this in the most smartest way, which you believe it is. Of course, you need marketing dollars and dollars. And also when you go back in the family, just to be clear, so the family Jenny, they purchased Doxa in 1997, just to be clear. It's not the same family since 1889, it's since 1997.
Got you. Before we move any further with this podcast, it's important to say that it is sponsored by Chisholm Hunter. Now, Chisholm Hunter are a luxury watch and jewellery retailer. They stock brands like Doxa or Tudor, Tag Heuer, Omega, and they are world-renowned for their luxury diamonds and jewellery. Now, without Chisholm Hunter, we would not have this podcast today. They've kind of supported me in a venture that is totally new to them, and that really means a lot to me. So if you're looking for your next luxury watch or next luxury diamond, head to chisholmhunter.co.uk. That is chisholmhunter.co.uk. And on that note, let's get back to it. The kind of history aspect of Doxa is that, talk to me a little bit about that, because when it comes to luxury brands, it's so important to have history, and Doxa have a huge amount.
So it's two things we have. It's not only the history. We are blessed, and we have one single unique case form with Doxa, which you can recognize over meters on the hand wrist of an end consumer. Some brands, you need to go really on the dial to read, okay, it's this brand, it's this brand. Doxa, with the cushion shape case, you recognize by far. Mm-hmm. And also when we had the event in Leeds last week, we brought original pieces from our museum with us, 67, 68. And the people were amazed and said, well, but that's still the same what it is today. Mm-hmm. So this creates a lot of confidence that you do not follow fashion trends. Mm-hmm. And Doxa, we stay in or around the water. We're not trying to please pilots. We're not trying to please the car industry. But instead, we have our rich tradition when you go back in the history with the colors also. In 64, in the 60s anyhow, everyone was running after the moon with 69, the landing. But the ocean was such as a mystery. And there was a small group of people being, okay, the ocean, Jacques-Yves Cousteau was there. What's the ocean? Huge mystery. And also, of course, ocean, also the people in the watch industry. Okay, the Irish watch. And in the 60s, you related on your watch, on the functionality, not like today with the computer. So the quality need to be there. And in 64, the first engineers of Doxa, they went here to the lake of Neuchâtel, which is just the next lake to Bienne. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they went down there and they tested the watches. And in the 60s, the most of the watches, they were even with dark dials, black, dark blue. They went down and see nothing. And then they tested all the colors and they figured out that orange is the most readable in the first 30 meters.
Wow.
Well, 67 became orange. It was revolutionary at the time. Mm-hmm. Orange, this was like people being conservative. So, wow, okay, that's a bit too much maybe. 68. And then right away behind followed with the yellow, with the aquamarine, with the different types of colors. In the watch industry, you see a trend. The last 5 years, people came in, oh, the Tiffany blue, wow, new color. And some journalists said, oh, hello, by the way, Doxa is using this over 50 years already. Yeah. So for us, this is not fashion. And every color has its own name. Mm-hmm. For example, the orange for professional, diamond star for yellow, aquamarine, or the shark counter for the black. So functionality, then since ever also the cushion shape. And then 68, of course, the first watch with a helium valve being sold to end consumer. There was another brand, the same period of time, being selling it into diving organizations. But the people know Doxa was the first one to end consumers. 68, helium valve. And in Leeds, we could present the watch. Still 67, beads of rice bracelet. Wow. The folded clasp, of course, we had that, but a little bit. But the case shape, the watches, there's no fashion smell behind.
Yeah.
And that's still today, in 2024, there's still a market, a legit market of end consumer being willing to buy this type of design functionality. Amazing. So I don't need to reinvent a Doxa look. It's there.
Yeah.
We just can play with materials. Why should I? Yeah.
And how does the design process work? Do you have like quite a big hand within the design process of the watches? Because I suppose the kind of general cushion case stays quite similar. I mean, there'll be tweaks here and there, but it stays relatively similar. Do you have a hand in kind of what happens and what colors are being released and that kind of stuff?
So of course, a hand. We were a grateful team. Myself, I'm very much involved what is happening with other brands, but it's not that I get influenced. But for me, it's more the choice of material. When you see now the 200T choice of size, how far it runs, then to think, okay, how can I work the thickness of a watch, because that's all the time a challenge with the diver's watch.
Yeah.
More deep, if we grant 1,200 meter water resistance, 1,500, 600, it's changing when you do a watch for 200 or 300, but you can optimize. And there we have a big knowledge with the design to save every millimeter which is necessary still to maintain functionality, but make it as wearable as possible. And that's a big compliment Doxa gets from end consumer. If you wear a Doxa, it's very comfortable to wear.
Yeah, I actually had the 200T in Iceland recently. It was actually last week. Monica sent them out for me to do a review of and film them. And I was very surprised at how comfortable it actually was, because the functionalities are quite big. I mean, I think it's 200 meters water resistance, as well as a bunch of other stuff. I won't go into the detail because I'll bore you. But I was actually very surprised at how comfortable it was. And I really enjoy the fact that I think within the industry, I see a trend of safeness, of people gravitating towards a little bit safer colors, a little bit safer things, maybe a little bit more dulled down. But within Doxa, the brand, you do have a kind of bold nature. And you can kind of instantly recognize it as a Doxa, especially the orange variants. So I quite like the fact that you've not changed with the industry. You've kind of kept your own path, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And again, to be able to explain our story, it doesn't need hours to understand. It's simple. As I mentioned before, we stay in the water, around the water, go to the beach, go to the sun, have fun.
Yeah.
And having fun and being colorful is standing very close together.
Yeah, absolutely. And have you seen, I know that I kind of said that I've seen that change in terms of going maybe a little bit more safe within the industry. Since you've started with Doxa, what kind of changes have you seen within the industry, the watch industry as a whole?
So we start now, I don't call it rebirth, but I think the next big step to go on retail with Doxa, to make it now available to a larger audience and to a next generation. The changes is that the high-end industry, a lot of newcomers came, with very limited editions, high-end pieces. And the last 4 years, the only thing that I could follow, another limited edition, another limited edition, and limited edition for 1,000 pieces, limited edition for 10,000. My opinion, that's not limited.
Yeah.
And now with this year's a bit more economical challenges, where people are more worried what's going on the world. The last years were good years.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, for this, I'm too long in the industry. A brand never proves himself when the sun is shining.
Yeah.
A brand on the mid and the long term is just solid when you prove yourself when it's raining.
Absolutely.
To go out when it's sunny, it's easy. When it's rainy, not a lot of people like to go out. So this is my culture.
Yeah.
Play safe. And I think not that full rain arrives, but we have economical challenges. Doxa are still in the growth, but we grow organically. And I think within the watch industry, the ones who powered a lot, they have more challenge to face now.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there was a huge, I mean, especially over COVID, it's sort of just before COVID, over COVID, there was a huge spike in residual values of watches, people flipping watches. But now what I can see, especially on the social media front, is people buying watches for the passion for the brand, instead of just buying it for, the extra £500 that they could maybe earn if they flipped it straight away. And I think that's a better thing to do, because as you said at the beginning, watches are about the memories you create and handing them down through the generations, instead of buying this luxury, beautiful piece of art and then selling it straight away on the secondary market. It just doesn't make sense.
No, it's both sides of the let's say the horizon. You can try to trade. There's never security in this. Mm-hmm. We see it right now. But of course, it's about being passionate when you see, especially, maybe be careful, but wearing a watch today, especially for men, we do not have many options to express our kind of style.
Yeah.
For example, when you see the business conduct, maybe next to the Middle East, all the men, for me, they wear suits, ties, and if they're suits, if it's a custom made, I can't see more than 10 different brands. It's all the same. So, not to go, it's all the same, but the conduct is the same, the rules.
Yes.
So, a way to express yourself, a woman is much more blessed. Oh, I all the time tell to my marketing team, if I would give $1,000 to a woman or to a man, the man most probably runs right away into the watch store, boom, buying a watch. A woman with 1,000, shoes, bags, jewelry, watches.
Yeah.
So it's a state of who you are. You can express your statements during the day, during the night, and there the emotional aspect of this item starts to be very close. And when I was young, I made also a marketing school, which was very interesting. It's that why can people remember 20 years back what kind of watches they were wearing? They didn't know what kind of shoes they were wearing and all this. Because unconsciously, how many times a day you look on your watch?
Yeah.
It is not that you may feel, I watched 10 times. No, it happens much more without that you remember. So over years, unconditionally, this item becomes an object for a certain period of life. If you want or if you don't want. That's why this famous watch of grandfather or whatever, it's this emotional value behind, and it doesn't need to be all the time the expensive gold watch. Also, a most affordable watch can have a lot of emotional values behind.
Of course. And some of we see it in the YouTube space a lot. People have, maybe Casio watches that are worth £9, but they've been handed down through the generations, and they might not work, but they mean a lot to that person. Do you have any watches that have been sort of handed down that you have within your collection?
Oh, in my personal collection?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a lot. I'm not giving you details, but a bit too crazy.
Yeah.
So, but a lot to do with emotions. It's of course, my kids are in already, and they start to that was the watch when you were there, when you were wearing. No, nice.
Yeah. And what Doxa do you wear at the moment? Is there a specific one that is like, I know you're not allowed to pick the favorite between children, but is there a specific Doxa that you think that's the one I like most?
No, for me it's difficult. I'm blessed that I have options to adapt my mood, the lifestyle to what kind of watch I wear. Today I'm just wearing the army.
Yeah.
Because somehow it happened that this morning I choose to have my green shirt, so I adapt myself to the watch. But then also the carbon during the days now is 44 grams, only very light with the cask certified movement. Depends on the occasion. Then afternoon on the beach, definitely the 300T with a metal bracelet, the orange one.
Yeah.
So I'm blessed to have the chance to move around between different collections.
And what are your thoughts on the 200, the new 200T, or a couple of months it's been out now? Because I think that might be my favorite at the moment. I'm probably biased because I've been reviewing it quite recently, but I love that model.
Yeah. No, it's amazing to wear. It's also, there's two aspects. It's a size and wearability.
Yeah.
And on top of it, also the implementation of a new color, the sea emerald. Green did not exist.
Yeah.
Of course, the aspect of why green. It's not because you see like fashion. No. 4 years ago, first we started to go on retail. Very clear strategy. The Anglo-Saxophonic markets. First, we took care about the UK, the US, and Australia. The rest I was not interested. We could have sold everywhere. Then we came to Europe the year after. And in 2023, then we started to go to the Middle East with valid partners. Then we went to India. And now we're approaching Asia. And that's why for Asia, decision was also to further support 39 millimeter. And green is a very substantial color in Asia by its own. The color of hope. And Asian culture stays close to this kind of color. Yeah.
So you said there the green's the color of hope.
Yeah, so for the Chinese, the meaning, the Chinese, be careful not to say something wrong, but the green, when you go to Chinese, the jade, the green jade,
Yeah.
you know, that's the most healthy stone, the color, the jewelry, and all this. This is fundamentally, culturally implemented into the culture, for example, the Chinese. The green color by its own. When I went to South Korea recently, Singapore, there's also a bridge to China with people visiting Singapore, all this. So green is very prominent, not only on watch dials in general. It's for me, it's one of the Asian colors, yeah.
Wow, and that's interesting because I remember working in. We have the Chisholm Hunter Boutique in Edinburgh, so it's overlooking the castle. It's really beautiful. But I remember a client coming in, a Chinese client, and they would only buy the limited edition if they could get number 8 or it had an 8 in it somewhere, because the number 8 is very substantial within their culture, is a lucky number.
Although it is 2. Yeah. So the 8 is fortune, 2 is luck. Whatever you can get with a 2 and an 8.
Yeah.
That's a perfect year. It means lucky fortune.
I didn't know that. So I just thought that 8 was a lucky number for no. I just thought it was the lucky number. So that means fortune.
But fortune is the 8, 2 is luck, I think. And the combination 2 and 8 together, that's very good too.
Wow.
Lucky fortune.
Okay. And are Doxa going to release any limited editions with the number 8 in them in the coming future?
So in exactly almost 1 month, we will release. It's still a surprise, but in July. More I cannot tell because first collectors will then exactly know what will happen. Yes, in July.
Yeah. And is there anything else that you could tell me that's maybe a little bit more sneaky? That is there anything up and coming that people should be excited about in terms of new colors or new variants, or what's going to be the focus?
Not new variances, but end of August, we will launch. So for me, at the end, it's even not so atypical, but for the market, it will be atypical to see from Doxa. It's not revolutionary, it's different, it's beautiful. For me, it's simple, but it's different.
Okay. So you're not giving too much away then?
No, because I know if I give one keyword, then
I'm just.
Or as long as you promise me the podcast will only be released in September, they can tell you everything.
No, you're all good. And I was going to ask you regarding obviously a lot of brands have different kind of release strategies in terms of some brands release sort of key promotions throughout the year. They release key lines throughout the year. And then other brands release a big chunk of their watches at, Watches and Wonders. What are your thoughts on Watches and Wonders? Is that something that Doxa would explore?
So we are there. We're just outside at the hotel. We are one of the so-called pirates. But I don't call myself as a pirate because the Watch and Wonders constitution is not the same with Basel. Basel World, we grew up with Basel World. Everyone was under one roof and all this. Watch and Wonders came out for different reasons. What they try to do is nice. It's, of course, more limited. It still becomes, again, very expensive. Yeah. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's also a question of available space. Meanwhile, but Geneva, you have a lot of big brands not being part of it, which did not happen in Basel. Very clear. So I don't need to be, in my size of business, the front runner, try to bring additional people into the show. We follow the situation every year, neutrally. And in our industry, there's also a saying, never say never.
Yeah.
But for the moment, we stay outside at the hotel, Beau Rivage. Mm-hmm. And I think within the Beau Rivage by its own, we're 50 brands. And we were super happy. Very full also with the weather. We have nice balconies, terraces where people can stay out. We are there until 8, 9 in the evening. You get the fresh air. It's a more cozy atmosphere.
Yeah.
It feels more relaxed. That's not a mistake by Watch and Wonders by its own, but they can't replace fresh air. They can't replace nice view and the atmosphere. So for the moment, we're happy. But so releases is also for us technically 2 times in a year.
Yeah.
It's also during Watch and Wonders, maybe one day before. Then we have Geneva Watch Days, end of August. Then every 2 years, now last year, then we joined Dubai Watch Week, which is an amazing show also.
I've never been.
Dubai. Oh, Harrison, do that.
Is it good?
Next year, November. I will just put cross in your agenda. Amazing.
Yeah, and what's different about
It's
it?
different. It's you know, how they did, they started, it's every 2 years. And so first of all, timing is perfect, location is perfect. Also but last year we had one big rainstorm, was unbelievable, completely happened in Dubai, but happening more and more. But technically it's outside, perfect location. People from Europe can easily access, people from Asia can easily access. Only for the US, maybe more far away. Secondly, the mix of the industry by its own between the very big players and family brands, then even smaller brands as Doxa are there, but it's being presented in a very balanced way.
Yeah.
It is not that you have the number one brand, not mentioning it here. It is not that they have it both they're operational compared to the other. It's really an experience. And I think they get 23 to 25,000 end consumers in there.
Wow.
Media, and in a very relaxing atmosphere. Very well done.
I'll need to. I don't think I've flown through Dubai a couple of times to get to kind of different places, but I've never really been to Dubai. I've heard that it's absolutely beautiful, clean. The crime is very, very low. I've heard it's really stunning.
Yeah, well, listen, if you want, I put you on the invite list for next year, November. So no problem. You just need to jump into a plane. That's it.
Yeah. I'll film a wee YouTube video while I'm there as well.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, yes, you can. So you can also get accreditation as a media person, whatever. And then a lot of CEOs are also there and very tangible, very easy to talk with. Yeah,
that's very kind of you. Thank you. Do you watch any YouTube at all in terms of the watch industry? Do you keep in touch with that kind of space?
So listen, now this is I'm obviously forced with the business and also with my kids. I watch YouTube, but I promise you one thing. I'm not on YouTube for hours.
Yeah.
I have other things to do, which is much more healthy and interesting for my brain, such as my body.
Yeah.
So, no, I do for business reasons, but privately, I'm not someone who is hanging constantly on this iPhone. No way.
Yeah, and how do you, like, as the CEO of Doxa, how do you split your time? Because I know that within my business, if I spend too much time in the studio or the office, I just get really down. So I need to go runs, I need to go to the gym, I need to keep very active. Do you keep active within your lifestyle?
Okay.
How do you kind of split your time?
Yes. Well, no, very much. So I was unfortunate I had a surgery on my shoulder last December. Just by end of June, I'll go back to play tennis, to move again. And so it's really walking.
Yeah.
In my age, earlier days, I still played soccer. So my knees are not the young one, but ice hockey I still play. Then privately I play piano when I want to keep the calm. Then, of course, it's all time nice to be together with the family.
Yeah.
But especially be outside, fresh air. And a lot of times also diving and swimming. So I'm really also personally close to the water.
Wow.
Also to go into the water.
And I'm guessing you wear a Doxa when you go diving, right?
Oh, so if I won't do, then I would not understand myself. Of course I do.
And where do you dive? So
technically now here in Switzerland, what I need to do, I dived one time in the lake of Bienne. It's not the Maldives here, it's dark. It's not the same, it's just for the experience to go into the water. But then it's outside when I travel. It can be Greece, it can be the Maldives, it can be Egypt, it can be in Florida. But on many spots, wherever I go on summer vacation, I try to go dive, as long as there's a reason to go to.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm guessing that
Yeah.
the one place that I've always wanted to go, and my girlfriend keeps trying to push me into it, is the Maldives. Is it beautiful? Is it stunning?
Right. Amazing. Very nice, yes.
Yeah. And what did you see when you were
Also,
there?
not all the diving and oh, everything. What I tried. Also, there you see everything. Also, snorkeling is very nice. Also, my kids, I was down in Maldives. My kids were smaller, not yet 11 years old to go dive, but also the snorkeling by its own is already very impressive. Crystal clear vision. Oh, it's beautiful, and the numbers of fishes. This is outstanding. It was also there with the barracudas. What in Egypt, I believe. I think this was more in Egypt. Oh, many experiences. At the one of the best experiences when I made the free diving without the tank.
Yeah.
This was in the Caribbean. Second time I couldn't do it, and my son, oh, again, you're getting old. It's not true. And it's without a dive. Go 2.5 meters down, doesn't sound a lot, just to hold your breath, and then you go into a very small hole. You go inside. Once you're inside, you cannot turn.
Oh.
And you need to go through a tunnel. You turn right, and you come up.
Yeah.
It's not so far. It's about, once you're down, 15, 20 seconds to go through. But all the procedure, once you need to get your mental preparation beforehand.
Yeah.
You can't go down and say, oh, should I do it or not? It's over, because you need to go. But if I go in there, I can't turn. I need to make it. And it's getting into the dark, turn right and go up. First time I did it. Second time, then maybe I got a bit too bully with the weight. I said, maybe too risky. My son still did it.
Yeah.
So I could talk for hours. What can all be done under the water, in the water? It's just beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I've got. I think there's something about the water that's kind of prehistoric. That it's like within people in general, it's almost like a reflex. Like as soon as the water touches your face, there's actually a reflex. There's chemicals that are released in your brain when that happens, especially cold water, that just makes you feel so much better about yourself.
Listen, every baby, who are we before we are born?
Yeah.
We're in water.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's where we belong. So
we're used to
with the Doxa on the wrist as a baby.
Not yet that we get born with a Doxa on the wrist, but it's completely natural.
Yeah.
And also when you also let people in Asia, for example, and sometimes some people they swim less or they can't swim, and all the time when you start to try to learn them swim, I said, don't start with your breath, with your face to the water. Mm-hmm. Go on your back, get a free look, and get confidence. Mm-hmm. Water is not hurting you, not at all.
Yeah. And did you play? Am I right in saying that you played football when you were 16?
Oh, from where to know? This I didn't say. So you read that song. Yeah, this is what I did. Yeah.
Yeah. And how long did you play football for until you had a knee surgery? Am I right, or was it your knee?
Yes, with 1920. But my first money I made it with football. Yeah.
Wow. So are you still a big fan?
Fan I am, and I also had one play with. But I call it the national team. I was very bad, under 16. But was not a lot. But still, when I was 16, my first money I earned was with sports, with football.
That's incredible.
It was not a lot, but at least I could, But let's see where it goes. Well, of course, I love the sport. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And what team do you support at the moment?
So at the European Championship.
Yeah.
It's Switzerland, of course. Technically, I should wear my Swiss T-shirt. I said I want to stay more conservative for this podcast, but technically, I should wear all my red dress tonight. We play. Of course, it's my home country, but you guys, you will so tonight we play against Scotland, so we'll see. how that one goes.
I don't have hope for Scotland. I tell you what, they're not been playing very well.
Yeah, but you never know. Tonight they have nothing to lose, and all the time someone who has nothing to lose sometimes can create surprises too.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have a couple of questions that were fired in. I'm actually going to get my phone out really quick on the Chisholm Hunter YouTube channel. So
yes,
let me get these up. So a couple of people have fired in questions, and I think a few of them might be not answerable, but I think quite a few of them are. So, did Doxa ever plan on making dress watches again? Says Nico Lasjavnova.
dress watches. So onto 67, of course, there were dress watches. So for the moment, it's not at all in the pipeline. Mm-hmm. But if there would be once an anniversary to go back into the 20s and the 30s, again, never say never.
Never say never. Never. That's gonna, that's gonna be clipped, and everyone's gonna think they're gonna make dress watches now.
No, not for the moment. We stay in the water, but if I would say never in lifetime, so I don't know for the 150th anniversary or let's say the 200, whatever it will be. Let's see. Yeah. You don't know. Yeah. But meanwhile, no.
Okay. So there's another question from, I'm not even going to try and read this name because it's far too much. It's Crunko something.
It's okay.
Are they going to release a sub 200 with a sunburst dial and change the clasp similar to the one that was in the 300s?
What was the question? The dial?
Yeah. Are they going to release a sub 200 with the sunburst dial? I thought some of the sub 200s had sort of sunray.
We had. Yeah. It's the Sea Rambler. So at the sub 200, at the 200T. No, it has. Yeah. So it depends. The Sea Rambler since ever is as a sunray dial. Sunray dial.
Yeah.
Not sunburst. Sunray. Sea Rambler was all the time a sunray.
Yeah. And the emerald green, by the way, I was obviously filming that quite recently on the 200T, but that dial color is to die for. It's beautiful. See the way that the green goes through it and the reflections. Amazing. Okay, so what is your favorite watch and color that Doxa do? Says Dicey151.
At the end, it's the 300T, the orange dial. That's it. That's Doxa. Like I said, at the end, I'm also making jokes. So when I enter a new market, I said, okay, if it would be Scotland, we are already present in Scotland, but okay, let's color Scotland into orange. So I could name every country.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, I see that's a good answer. Let's see. So there's 3 questions from a gentleman called Matty1467. So will they ever develop in-house movements?
Okay, so the in-house movement is a different aspect. So first of all, Doxa is not being requested based on the need what we need to do. We need to have a watch who is functional. Mm-hmm. And now an in-house movement, the tricky aspect is I see many brands, they do divers watches with a see-through, which is technically not correct. Or the watch is so thick, you need a very thick glass.
Yeah.
But a diver's watch doesn't have a see-through. It's functional because it's too risky to blow off when you go dive deep, technically, if the see-through, or you can make it very thick. So on that level, we try to be 100% functional.
Yeah.
So if I do an in-house movement, no one sees it. I cannot decorate it, despite also we have in the movement the Doxa rotor, the mechanical movement. But it's not a USP to sell a Doxa watch. People do not request in-house movement. It needs to be functional, it needs to be solid.
Yeah.
But I'm not buying a Doxa because the movement is in-house or decorated. No, because you can't see it anyhow. Yeah.
And I suppose, am I right in saying that if there was in-house movements, that would put the price up of the watches as well?
No, definitely that's a different aspect which comes on top of it.
Yeah.
So absolutely, there we would not talk about £100-200 in retail. This would be different.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, no, that makes sense. Okay, we'll read 1 or 2 more because I know you're pushed for time. You're a busy man, and we'll go on to the Chisholm Hunter Instagram page. because I asked a question there. Let's have a look. What is it that's kept you interested in watches and make Doxa better, says Nijama Jones.
Oh, it's just an honor when you get the chance to have a raw diamond in your hands.
Yeah.
It just feels blessed that you don't need additional motivation. It's an honor to pair your experience, your goodwill, being hungry with a good team to bring Doxa to that next level and Doxa to the next generation. So it's an honor. It's not a must or I need additional motivation, not at all.
Yeah. And Georgie Tala says, I think he means, will titanium models be released in Doxa's arsenal? So like titanium 300s or 200s?
So my answer will be titanium is definitely a material which you can use in the ocean.
Ah, I see. Okay, that makes sense. Well, listen, Jan, I really appreciate your time and sort of going over a bit of the history of Doxa and also the bit of the history about yourself. It's really inspiring to see you kind of pushing the brand forward and all the innovation that's going on within the Doxa side of things. So thank you so much for the time, mate. I really appreciate it.
So thank you, Harrison, for your support. We're happy also, as I said, also with Just Hunter to be part of your organization and looking forward to a long-lasting partnership, which will be just based on success.
Of course. The diving model specifically, the 200T.
Yes. And then let's see. And at least I put in my agenda. The latest we meet is already, November 2025 in Dubai. All done.
Absolutely. I'll be white, with Scottish white person, sunburn to here and sunburn to there.
Exactly. So the dress code with your heritage, I leave this up to you, how far you can go in Dubai. So that's your decision.